I'm gonna jump out of a window. I'm literally gonna jump out of a window because I cannot speak to this camera. Okay, so I do not think it's an exaggeration to say that stan culture has gotten completely out of hand. Like, not only have we lost the plot, but like, truly the plot was lost a long time ago. Because every day, I wake up, and I go online, and I see some shit that's like, rise and shine everybody, Sierra Mist's new EP, The Love Bomb Desert Storm, is available to stream now. Sierra Mist is the next big thing in the music industry. I'm so proud of her. The pop girlies are sweating. And then you'll see that some music outlet or music reviewer gave The Love Bomb Desert Storm a 5.4 out of 10. And all of the responses to that will be like, hey, this music outlet and this music reviewer, they fucking hate women. They hate them. And then immediately after that, I'll see posts that are like, actually, Sierra Mist's mom works for Lockheed Martin, and her dad made the Transformers movies that have the racist robots in them. So therefore, if you dislike Sierra Mist, then you hate all women, and if you like Sierra Mist, then you are a sheep who loves Nepo babies and the racist Transformers. And then I kill more of my brain cells trying to come on here and understand what any of this means, and then I explain all of it to you for money. Okay, so if you haven't already guessed, today we are talking about Gracie Abrams, and everything that I've learned about this woman within the last 48 hours has been so against my will. So, if you are completely unfamiliar, Gracie Abrams is a singer-songwriter who released her second full-length album, The Secret of Us, this week. Gracie Abrams has been rising in popularity due to her associations with Olivia Rodrigo because she opened for her on the Sour Tour, and similarly, she also opened for Taylor Swift on some dates of the Eras Tour. Taylor Swift also has a feature on this album, and their fan bases naturally have a lot of crossover because Gracie has a very similar style to Taylor Swift's newer stuff. And as I alluded to in my little intro here, there has been a lot of discussion surrounding Gracie's new project, Gracie herself, and her industry connections. And as usual, I am here to break down and organize every single controversy that she has been in thus far into a neatly numbered list. Okay, number 1. Gracie Abrams is only successful right now because of nepotism. Okay, so Gracie Abrams is the daughter of famed director J.J. Abrams, which would therefore make her the dreaded term a Nepo baby. And so therefore some have said that Gracie's music is actually mid and she doesn't deserve the success and or moment that she is currently having because she didn't really work for any of it herself. Now I do agree that people do pick and choose when to weaponize this. I think in this case the connection is more clear because she has the same last name as J.J. Abrams, but there are plenty of other Nepo babies in the music industry, in the entertainment industry in general, who have famous parents or famous grandparents, and the connection quite literally isn't as obvious because they have a different last name. I also think that this is kind of a proximity to Taylor Swift thing, although you could argue that it's like a related but separate issue. The argument here being that if Taylor Swift wasn't so closely associated with Gracie Abrams, then her music would probably not be as successful and probably would in fact be seen as a Taylor Swift ripoff, which I kind of get because to me it feels like the marginal difference between being Taylor Swift inspired and being a copycat of Taylor Swift is based on whether or not Taylor has marginally acknowledged your existence. I do ultimately think that whether or not you care about, like, the Nepo baby situation is a personal preference, and I think most of the time people aren't ideologically consistent with it anyway. I know I've had situations where, like, I'll throw that as a dig at a famous person if I don't like them, and people tend to do that generally if they are not well liked. What I will say though is that some fans of Gracie Abrams are clearly going a little too overboard with the cope about it, as indicated by this tweet that suggests that if you are under 50 you don't know who J.J. Abrams is anyway. J.J. Abrams, you know, the guy who directed Star Wars. Not even like the Star Wars movies that were made in the 70s, you know. Disney reboot Star Wars.
Oh, they fly now! They fly now? They fly now!
Number 2, if you dislike Gracie Abrams' new album, it's because you are actually a misogynist. Okay, so as I mentioned, Gracie Abrams recently came out with a new album called The Secret of Us. Just for the sake of being thorough here, I did listen to the entire album, and it's fine. I personally don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. If you disagree with me, that is okay. I could see like another life of mine 5 years ago or so where I would have eaten this up, and now I personally just find this style of music a little bit more difficult to relate to. It's the same kind of disconnect that I expressed when the Tortured Poets Department came out. But I think, I don't know, if you're a big fan of Taylor Swift's more recent stuff, you'll probably like this as a point of comparison. However, we know that once music comes out, it starts to get get reviewed. And one of the people that reviewed Gracie's new album was Anthony Fantano, also known as The Needle Drop here on YouTube. I feel like the more I talk about music, the more I end up talking about him, like, in my videos. I don't mean to, I just feel like he comes up a lot. And to be honest, he did not like the album that much. He gave it a 3 out of 10, and he criticized the whole project as basically a derivative Taylor Swift ripoff, which of course in turn pissed off Gracie Abrams fans, and those fans proceeded to claim that Anthony Fantano gave this album a low rating because he doesn't understand women or music made by women. This is a criticism that has been made against Anthony Fantano in the past, most notably this comment that was left on his review of Fiona Apple's Fetch the Bolt Cutters that kind of turned into like an internet-wide copy pasta. And some people think that like this comment are cooked, but now the issue is that whenever Anthony Fantano gives a lower rating to an album by a female artist, a lot of these fan bases try to kind of like pull the same shit with the same vibe, and it never quite holds up, especially considering the fact that a couple weeks ago he gave Brat by Charlie XCX a 10 out of 10. And I think the thing that bothers me about this whole criticism is that I've noticed a trend recently where people can't express their dislike of things without people who are a fan of that thing retorting with like, oh, you just don't understand it. You're not smart enough to understand this perspective. It was there before the Tortured Poets Department release. I think it really ramped up with the Tortured Poets Department release, and now I see it being done with like everything. I do think that in general there is a difference between informed critique and misinformed critique, but just because somebody doesn't have the exact lived experience of the person whose art they are critiquing does not make that criticism invalid. Like, I am genuinely begging you all to stop using gatekeeping as a defense mechanism. And this goes back to my initial stan culture problem of like taking everything so personally to the point where you have to just naturally insist that if a person disagrees with you or has a different perspective, they are inherently problematic. But it's on the basis of like disliking an album or thinking that Gracie Abrams is a Nepo baby. If you enjoy this album, that's totally fine. Why don't you spend most of your time talking with other like-minded people who also enjoy the album? You can talk about like your favorite songs or the album artwork or what it personally means to you. You don't have to spend all day arguing with people who don't like it, angrily shaking your fist and being like, why don't you like this? You should like this. You can just like let it go. And I feel like a lot of people on Stan Twitter kinda need to hear that sometimes. Or you could just continue to tell people who disagree with you to like eat shit and die. That's also fine. That's probably what's gonna happen, and so it's fine. Number 3, Gracie Abrams is a huge creep, and it's because a couple years ago she made a questionable tweet about actor Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, and so therefore now she should stay very, very far away from beloved actor Paul Mescal. Now, this is lore that I learned today, so, oh wow. So right off the bat, I will say that I can only find like screenshot remnants of this and people mostly just kind of discussing it online. Meaning that like obviously this is no longer on Gracie's social media anymore, and to my knowledge she has never like outwardly recognized it, and neither has Finn Wolfhard. But basically this was a couple years ago when Gracie, I believe, had just newly turned 18 and Finn Wolfhard, who is on Stranger Things, was 14 years old, and she posted this, I guess, joke or maybe not joke on Instagram saying like, I know he's 14, but I'm incredibly down. And I kind of feel gross saying that. I feel a little icky. Fans of Gracie argue that this was like an innocent joke, albeit a little weird. Also, like, Gracie herself was pretty young at the time that she apparently made this joke about being down for Finn Wolfhard, I guess. And then of course there is the other side of this argument, which is like nobody should be speaking this way about a 14-year-old child, and also if the genders were reversed, would this be a situation where you'd be more willing to like write it off as a joke? I think the most charitable interpretation of this is, you know, a joke gone wrong, something that probably shouldn't have gone on social media publicly, but I also understand why, you know, some people are expressing discomfort around supporting her. Now, the second part of this mess is that just this week, Gracie Abrams was spotted with actor Paul Mescal. Now, independent of how you feel about Gracie Abrams, I'm going to say something that nobody wants to hear in regard to Paul Mescal. The way that some people tend to infantilize him online is creepy as fuck. This is a grown man who can do whatever he wants and date whoever he wants. You all have been doing this since the Phoebe Bridgers debacle, and I have had enough. Quite frankly, I have had enough of seeing all of these women online freak the fuck out every time this man is seen in public with like the new it girl of the month or whatever. Like, of course, some of it is done in jest. There is a lot of gray area there. I have seen some of these memes and I think quite a few of them are kind of funny. But I can assure you that like ever since Paul Mescal and Phoebe Bridgers broke up, there is like a group of women online who have assigned themselves the role of Paul Mescal watchdog to make sure that no other woman in Hollywood like breaks his heart because no one will ever be good enough for him. Or sometimes they unironically claim that they know Paul Mescal personally way better than you do, even though they'd never met him ever in their life. And they know for a fact that the fact that he's all of a sudden being seen with Gracie Abrams means that it's a PR relationship. I've gone back and forth on whether or not this post here is a joke, but judging by the amount of people I've seen say that it's a PR relationship, like I actually think that they're serious. I just want you to know that no matter what happens, Paul Mescal will be okay. So there you have it. That is everything you need to know about the current Gracie Abrams discourse. Most of it is pointless, but some of it I think is a little bit interesting. Because I've been around long enough to know that some of this stuff is cyclical. There's always going to be a new Gracie Abrams. There's always going to be a new Sierra Mist. Apparently that bitch's name is Starry now. See? I'm already out of the loop. Before I let you go today, I just wanted to tell you about 2 videos that I made a couple days ago that you should definitely give a watch if you haven't. The first is How the Internet Fell Out of Love with Chance the Rapper, and the second is a review that I did on season 3 of The Bear. A reminder that you can also follow me on Twitter, and you can connect with me at all of the social media listed in this beautiful link tree, which can be found in the description down below. And a reminder that you can also subscribe to my Patreon for weekly bonus content for just $2 a month. What is my favorite J.J. Abrams movie? Why can I not think of a single thing that J.J. Abrams has made besides Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Star Trek?
Made a lot of Lost.
Lost? Oh, he made... No, he didn't make Super 8. That was... Spielberg?
No.
Wait, who made Super 8? You know what I'm talking about? No, not Super... What the fuck is the name of that movie?
Super 8 is, yeah, it's J.J. Abrams.
Oh, I am right!
Yeah.
Wow, this is gonna be the end of my video.
Okay.